Welcome to Grand Cruise Astrology. Welcome to my series of monthlies here that I'm going to do. The thinking behind this is we have an eclipse coming up, two eclipses coming up in late April and early May, and so I'm kind of just touching on the build up to these eclipses and the aftermath, and I just kind of want to go new moon to full moon, new moon to full moon, kind of one at a time and give you a little take on what I see as what we have coming up, just a glance at what's possible. So here we are with the first new moon on March 21st, and this is the first one I'm going to cover. And the reason is uh, it's the start of the astrological new year at 0 degrees Aries, and if you look here, this is the glyph for the sun up here where my cursor is. And you have the moon right next to it, so the sun-moon conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. So again, it's the Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and 0 degrees is the first. I mean, that's we haven't even gotten to 1 degree yet. So this is new beginnings within new beginnings. It's very fresh energy. It's very new. And it really is, it's interesting the aspects that it makes because with this new moon, over time, I mean, this first new moon is going to make what we call a 60-degree angle, a sextile to Pluto here. And then it's going to make a 90 degrees, more or less, angle to Mars here. And so, these it's interesting how these two planets they're going to be in play not only for this month but months to come, and they're going to be in different angles. So really interesting here with the new moon that we have coming up on March 21st. The sextile angle to Pluto, what we're going to have here is Pluto is the planet of power, planet of transformation. It's a planet of death and rebirth. It's a big hitter. It's a power player. It rules things like atomic energy, and this is not a lightweight planet in its effects. So, when you have a planet aspecting Pluto, it usually has something to do with has something to do with power. If it's aspecting a personal planet, it has to do with personal empowerment and transformation around that. Now, what's interesting about this is, yes, we have the sun and the moon at 0 degrees of Aries. We have Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So they are technically, by sign, they're in what we call a square aspect by sign, but by degree, they're in sextile. So I see this as really giving us the opportunity to capitalize in a positive way on energies that are normally very challenging. So normally, if you have a Capricorn planet going square to an Aries planet, they're both cardinal. They're both, but one of them is cardinal Earth and the other one's cardinal fire. So Capricorn is a very steady as she goes sign. Aries is can be very impulsive, very action oriented, and very passionate and fiery. And so these energies can collide a little bit normally. But what I like about this is that these energies are going to be a sextile aspect, which is an aspect of opportunity, right? So with a square aspect, like I said, with the signs, that's an aspect of tension and conflict that really requires us to get creative. But with a sextile, it's like an opportunity. It's like we can take it or leave it. The opportunity is there to use these energies in a creative way. We're not being forced to. It's not being thrust upon us in conflict, but yet it is there to work with if we so choose. And I see this as a great opportunity for starting things, especially just generally speaking in the realm of career, because Capricorn is all about career and success and worldly affairs, right? And Aries is about new beginnings. Starting a new business is like such a good combination here as I see it with this. Starting something very powerful, very transformative, very new. Uh, yeah, this is great. This is great. You know, this aspect between Earth and fire. Now the new moon is going to be squaring up to Mars down here in Gemini. So it's interesting again because it's the same situation. Normally, when you have Aries and you have Gemini in conversation, you're talking about what's normally a sextile aspect, one of ease. I mean, air and fire, right? You got to have some air to make fire. So these two energies, both masculine, they get along. They're both outwardly expressive, right? And so, but in this case, by degree, there's an aspect that is more along the line of tension here. So the caution is here with this new moon, uh, to lean more toward that Pluto energy of being very thorough, being very Capricornian in this case, very thorough, very exact, very precise, and being very integrous, step by step, and just very almost ruthless with, your pursuits and your details and your, you know, being contained within your own power, not spreading yourself too thin. Because with this Mars energy here in Gemini, in a square aspect to the new moon and the sun here, it really can speak to just being a little bombastic and a little bit over the top and expressive. Uh, a little bit. It's a little bit too scattered, right? You take Mars and Gemini. Gemini loves detail. It loves, to really have its hand in a lot of pies, right? It likes to be all over the place. And, there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but when you have Mars and a tough aspect to the sun, the new moon like this, it can speak to getting a little bit all over the place, a little bit scattered, a little bit, just frizzle fried, right? So, yeah, that's just a warning there. It can be, a positive energy. It can really create the opportunity to really get a lot done, and it can really. This is a time when networking can be off the charts and connecting with people. I mean, there's a lot of headway you can make in a social arena here with this aspect. The challenge is keeping it, not getting burned out and not scattering yourself too far and wide that you burn out all your energy and you get nowhere. There's also you got to also watch your interactions. This can be socially a little. This can be fiery. This can be some conflict here. So, it's altogether. It's an opportunity. It's great, but there is caution here. It's interesting how we have this Mars energy going quincunx aspect to Pluto. And if you look at Pluto, Pluto's like the very end of Capricorn for this new moon. So, I mean, using this 29-degree Pluto energy can really be about tying up some loose ends from the past so that we can catapult in the future in a new way and really springboard. But with this quincunx from Mars to Pluto here, it would just suggest that there's some integration that needs to happen here, but it's very difficult to integrate quincunx energy. So what I always suggest with these dotted lines here with the quincunx is ignore neither of them. Okay? There's going to be a lot of activity, there's going to be a lot of action, there's going to be a lot of conversations, there's going to be a lot happening, and there's going to be a lot of drive and motivation and passion to do new things. But don't forget, to keep one foot on the ground, keep your footing. Don't forget what got you to where you are, right? keep that in mind and keep one foot in that arena, so that you don't, you don't burn yourself out and you don't get so scattered that you're making no progress. So, okay, that's where I'll leave it. I think for this moon. I mean, you're going with this Mars energy. It's going to be in a nice aspect by degree to Saturn. Um, it's going to give it's just going to give Mars a little bit of a container. I think that's it's going to give it a little bit of a little bit of boundary. So that's good. I see that as being a net positive there. But yeah, this is some energy we have coming in. Use it. It's very interesting energy because there's a lot happening at the end of signs here with this Pluto and this Mars here, and yet we got the sun and the moon at the beginning of signs. There are endings and new beginnings, and there's a lot of change happening for everybody, and there's a lot of conversations around that, and a lot of passion, a lot of progress, but also a lot of conflict as well. So just recognize that's going on. We can really use this energy to make a lot of headway, but keep one foot on the ground. So that's what I got. Hope this was helpful, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.